I gotta figure out a way to get back from Bayswater a little faster on Monday nights.
Probably easier to
Okay.
just not go.
I know, but it's saying it's been going. That cheer's been going on for a long time. Can't just be mevatel it.
How many guys are there?
Okay, so 10, 12, 15, it depends on the week.
I always went before COVID.
Maybe sometimes even one
Again,
for
people
Rockaway guy
repeat.
shows up.
Yeah,
You
sometimes
showed up
one
when I was trying to get out of your house.
I was there, man.
I know.
Ami was there.
When it was
Ami
an
was there.
this year?
Remember that? That's how it started.
That's how it started. It started off in the base mattress cutting, and then someone had the wise idea to move it to that shul, and then they started catering everything, and people would walk away heavier than they walked in.
Yeah, that's why Jesse.
I don't know. Tonight they served fried chicken with no knives, so I think they were trying to get rid of everybody.
Right. Yeah.
What do you need a knife for
Anyways.
fried chicken?
Which
a
part
good
scares
question.
away people?
That's a good question. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Even though it's a very short daf tonight, but there's a lot of halach in it. So let's go. I apologize. So anyway, so yesterday we left off. We were really strict in the middle of a sugya, but we left off the Machlokes Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Yehuda. Right, Machlokes Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Yehuda. If you have to stop eating by 9 hours into the day on erev Shabbos and erev Shabbos, erev Yom Tov, right? So we had said the first teretz was that Rabbi Yosi's mind that erev Pesach you're not allowed to eat, right? He's chaylik on Shabbos and Yom Tov, but erev Pesach is maida, right? And then, right? So then we want to say a different teretz, and then we ended up saying no, that goes with the original teretz, yeah. And that meaning and that which is that on erev Pesach of Yosi's maida. So Gemara says, I'm sorry, Rav Huna. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down from the top. Yeah. Again, the schus refuah shalema for Shmuel ben Devar b'sach shar chayli Yisrael. Okay, so Rav Huna mi nicha, and does it even work according to Rav Huna? This teretz Amar Rav Yirmi Amar Rav Yochanan Vitem Amar Rav Avo Amar Rav Yosi bar Rav Chanina halacha Rav Yehuda erev Pesach. The halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda on erev Pesach. Halacha Rabbi Yosi erev Shabbos, and the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi on erev Shabbos. And now, what does this say? Right? What does this tell you? That if we have to pasken, that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda on erev Pesach, and that the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi on erev Shabbos. So that means that they argue in both cases. We just got finished saying that they all agree on erev Pesach you're not allowed to eat, right? And now by here what we're saying that the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi on erev Shabbos, and halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda on erev Pesach. That means Rabbi Yosi disagrees by erev Pesach also, which is the opposite of the teretz that we just said. So Michlal, halacha Rabbi Yehuda erev Pesach, Michlal the polig Rabbi Yosi b'tarayu. You see that Rabbi Yosi disagrees by both cases. So Gemara answers no. Loi halacha Michlal the pligi b'hafsaka. They're having a machlokes. Whether you have to stop eating. When it becomes night, do you have to stop eating? Right? That's the machlokes. The machlokes is not whether you're allowed to start eating. That's for sure. Even Rabbi Yosi might of erev Pesach, you're not allowed to start eating. Question is, if you did start eating, do you have to stop? Right? So Rabbi Yehuda holds you have to stop eating. And you have to say Birchas Hamazon and etc. Finish the meal. You have to stop eating. And Rabbi Yosi says you don't have to stop eating, which we're going to see right now. And then that goes into the next sugya of Paras Map. The Tanya, Mafsikin l'Shabbos, Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says you have to stop for Shabbos. If you're eating in the middle of a meal, you're in the middle, like exactly what happened this past Friday, right? You're in the middle of a Suda, Shabbos comes in. You have to stop or not. So Rabbi Yehuda is saying you have to stop. Rabbi Yosi says you don't have to stop. They were sitting in Akko, the kiddush hayon. And the day became, the literal title is the day became kiddush, meaning the day it was Shabbos. He says Berebi, which is a name, which is but Rebbe is a lashon of chashivas, right? Should we be chayshish for Yehuda, our friend, and stop the Suda now? Right? They were all eating together. It was Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. They were all eating a Suda on erev Shabbos. Then it became Shabbos. So should they stop? Rabbi Yosi didn't care. Right? Rabbi Yosi holds you don't have to stop. Rabbi Yehuda holds you do have to stop. So they asked Rabbi Shimon Gamliel.
I mean, I know it's not the topic. And what? And their wives lit candles while they were eating the Suda?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if the wives were part of the equation over here.
No, I know it's not part of the sugya.
Right.
But their wives, I'm saying, so while they were eating the Suda, the wives lit candles.
They were at a retreat in Akau. They lived in Bnei Brak and
Right,
they went
or
to
they were
Akau for Shabbaton. No.
Right. Whatever. Or they were away from, back then they went away from the home for a long time to learn.
And Rabbi
That's what I'm
Yehuda,
thinking.
just waited for them to answer. He stopped already.
I don't know what Rabbi Yehuda did during this time. I guess this conversation happened in front of Rabbi Yehuda Mustama. Right?
Yeah, but I'm saying he said it was Shabbos already.
guess.
But he,
Well, it was
Did he
Shabbos for
stop?
everybody. It was Shabbos
Why?
for everybody.
I understand, but Yehuda holds you have to stop. Did he stop? For
Did he
himself.
stop? So I don't know.
Does it say he stopped? Does it say he stopped?
Doesn't say. It's interesting that Rabbi Yehuda's in brackets. Right? It's interesting that that has Rabbi Yehuda that it's in brackets in the Gemara. So I wonder. I mean, he had to have been there from the story. Again, let's see. So I'm gonna let Shimon Gamliel Rabbi Yosi.
Why did he have to be there?
Because let's see the whole thing, and I think it sounds like he has to have been there. Should we stop to be chayshish for Yehuda, our friend? Right? Now, why would he have wanted to be chayshish for Rabbi Yehuda if Rabbi Yehuda wasn't there?
It's a shita.
Read the next line.
Because he has such a shita.
Because who has such a shita?
Rabbi
Yehuda.
Shita. And then
Read
maybe
the
they'll.
next
I understand, but why should Rabbi Yosi have to go with Rabbi Yehuda's shita? Rabbi Yehuda's not even there.
But read the next line. Go on. You'll see that.
No, it says, he says, saying every day you go with my words before Rabbi Yehuda. And now you want to go with Rabbi Yehuda in front of me. So I mean, this is Masha that he was there, Rabbi Yehuda. Or is he just saying his words? I don't know. I understand that he was there.
It's not that
The
important.
Well, it
pasuk
is
he
important.
uses
Who?
is the pasuk he uses. The next words are almost mafurish that Rabbi Yehuda was there.
That's
Or the
true.
I would say the opposite, because then they both would be embarrassed. Let's go on to the next line.
So it says, okay, so Agam, right, son. You want to show Rabbi Yehuda love, literal touches, love, meaning you want to go Rabbi Yehuda in front of me, Hagam lichvesh as a malkim of a bias, which everybody should know this, right? This is the pasuk that was said right before Haman was hung. That's what Achashverosh said to Haman. Do you want to conquer the Esther because when he fell onto Esther's bed, so Achashverosh came in from the yard and said, "You want to also in my house? You want to take my wife too?" So meaning in my house, Rabbi Yosi is saying, in my house, you want us to pasken like Rabbi Yehuda? Right? So Amar Lei, which is very interesting. I mean, the whole thing is very conceptually, it's very interesting. Like why Rabbi Yosi couldn't...
This mashma, Taisus has a different gears on the Gemara. It's Shahai Hashem.
Which Taisus is it? Which was it referring to?
Shahai Misfilm Veschilu Behete. Rabbi Yehuda Hayasham.
You're saying, yeah, okay, but all right. It's really more of a pirish. I don't know if that's supposed to be a dibra maskal, right?
Okay, so Pashas.
Meaning, I think it's that he was there. You're saying that Taisus is saying a different thing. Taisus's point is that they started behet, right? That's right. But you're saying from the Taisus dibra maskal, you're saying 100%. You're right. That's a good point, right? The Taisus says Sharei Rabbi Yehuda Hayasham, right? Very good. Yeah.
Then why didn't you say either way you're going to embarrass somebody? You won't just embarrass Yossi, you embarrass the other one. Why should you go with Rav Yossi? He's saying, well, you aren't going to embarrass me. Unless it's in his house. That's the only reason.
Well, that's
Anyway, go back to it.
yeah, I'm
If
saying,
they're
but
worried
that's
about
a shot.
embarrassing somebody, I mean, that pasuk's a very sharp lashon. No, somebody was definitely embarrassed.
That's
Right,
what I'm
I
trying
think
to
that's what the
say.
doctor's saying. That's what the doctor's saying. Somebody got embarrassed over here. Somebody got embarrassed here. But it doesn't seem like it was about embarrassment. I don't know.
Not, yeah, exactly. I don't think it's about
So
embarrassment.
you want to say you want to say balabatish? You say balabatish. This is what I'm wondering.
That's
What
the
would be the
hard part
big
to
deal?
understand
There's no
here.
isser. I'm saying there's no isser in Rabbi Yosi stopping the Suda, right? What would have been so schwer that Rabbi Yehuda's sitting there and that Rabbi Yosi could say, "Stop the Suda." So we'll stop the Suda for Rabbi Yehuda.
Because we're going to see in a minute. They're going to say,
One
therefore,
second,
it's going
right?
to be
So
a
1
mistake.
second. So now he's afraid, right? So he's afraid. What's the problem? Meaning, Batsim, he's afraid that they're gonna end up paskening like Rabbi Yehuda instead of him, right? Now let me ask you a different question. Take it a step back. So what's so schwer if they end up paskening like Rabbi Yehuda? So they end up stopping their meal before Shabbos, unless you say that if they're gonna stop their meal, then they're not gonna end up eating the Shabbos Suda, meaning because they're going to be full already. So then they're not yotzei, meaning if they keep it as one big meal and they're paris ma'av kiddush, which is the next Gemara, so then maybe at least they're being mekayim the mitzvah of the Friday night Suda properly. But if they're going to bench, then they're not going to be mekayim the Suda properly. Maybe that's what his issue was. I don't care, whatever it is. So Amar Leis, he said, Im kain lo nafsik. So he said to him, right? So Rav Shimon Gamliel said to him, Im kain, right? Loy nafsik, we're not going to stop the Suda. Shema, Yiro Talmidim.
In other words, stopping the Suda could be a chumrah. Is that what he's trying to say?
Yeah, yes, it could be. Yes, it could be the. I don't know if it's a chumrah. It's just saying that it could end up being that the halacha they're going to pass halacha incorrectly.
Okay,
right?
okay.
That's all. But I don't know if it's a chumrah kula. I'm not sure. Shema, Yiro Talmidim. Yikva halacha l'dayris. So Amru. They said like zalzam misham at shekavu halacha k'Rabbi Yosi. They didn't move from there until they said that halacha is like Rabbi Yosi, which again, so what they didn't move from there until they were kivei halacha is like Rabbi Yosi, right? By them not benching, wasn't that kivei?
Right, that's what that's what they kept on eating. They didn't.
So that's the pshat in the loy zazu misham. It sounds like loy zazu misham is that they put out a kol kaira, everybody signed, all the rabbis signed, the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi. Right?
The Kol Korah follows the pasuk that they brought. That's what Achashverosh did.
Well, okay, very good. Okay.
But also, what's of Yotzei halacha? There's more to not stopping. Isn't there a part of halacha is what you have to do?
No, he held you don't have to stop. Finish.
And there's no paris and mappa. There's no anything.
No, that's the next Gemara. From this here, he holds not. Right? So Avram is saying that maybe he said chavirenu. Right. I hear. Maybe that's a good deal. It says chavirenu, but that's yeah. I hear.
The fact that it didn't stop it's not a riot because the mice, if he's sitting there and it's a basic Suda, so at his table he's going to do what he wants to do. Because I don't have to.
But it doesn't say who the host was, right?
No.
But who is the Rav of the town?
But obviously, Yosi is there too. Who's bigger?
Yes. So now we need a historian. We need Shmuley. We need Shmuley Taka. Shmuley, if you're listening this tomorrow, Shmuley, right? What towns were they?
When do you say Achron Chaviv? Because Rabbi Yosi is the one who's mentioned last of the three.
I hear. I don't know.
We had said before that Rabbi Yosi was more chashiv than them. Rabbi Yosi was held to be more chashiv. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, Aki. Remember we said in Erevin, was it? We said
why would he be more chashiv than Nasi?
Because he had
no Rabbi Yosi was known. What Akiva's saying,
he had much sharper svaras.
It's Erevin. Rabbi Yosi, anytime Rabbi Yosi said a din, it was considered like mamish. What do they call it? You can take it. What's the lashon? You can
take it to the bank.
Take it to the bank. Very good. You can take it to the bank. Rabbi Yosi, when Rabbi Yosi said something, you can take it. Maybe. So I don't know. So maybe that's why.
Couldn't have been more chashiv than the Nasi.
When it comes to halacha, could be. They bring down. Yes, right. It's brought down under Ashbam that halacha Rabbi Yosi mechaber from a Gemara and erev.
Yeah, that's the halacha.
Right, I'm saying because the Gemara gives a reason why, but that's the din.
Yes, because he was very accurate, right?
Right.
Does that make him more chashiv?
Dovi.
Yeah.
The Brisker Rav listened to the Dayan in Brisk. He didn't pasken, the Dayan pasken. The Dayan wasn't bigger than the Brisker Rav, but in halacha, the Brisker Rav listened to him. No.
What
Okay,
happened
so-
the whole Yom V'Yom that he was
That's my point.
of Rabbi Yehuda?
Oh, you're saying the opposite.
Right, Reb Shimon Gamliel.
No, I'm
if
saying
Reb
Reb
Yossi
Shimon
was the
Gamliel is like the Brisker Rav.
Right, so
he
he's saying the
listened to
same
Rabbi
thing.
Yossi. So he
Right.
listened to Rabbi Yossi. That's the point.
Right.
If Reb Yossi was
Santiago, you've told us more than once that you don't like titles, that there's no difference between the Gadol Adar and the Pesach Adar, right?
correct.
So what's this? So
Okay,
anyone can.
That's true, but you think it's Reb Shimon Gamliel's call. That's what Dovi's saying. It should be Reb Shimon Gamliel's call here. He was the Nasi. Right? Unless there's something historically we're missing, which we need Shmuley to figure that out for us. That's
Well,
yeah.
Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi
And
Yehuda
what were you
telling
saying,
them about Rabbi
Avrami?
Akiva.
I'm just curious what Rabbi Yossi's
Yeah.
answer to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel is. Every day, b'chol yom v'yom, you put my halacha before Rabbi Yehuda. What does that mean? What is he talking about? And then we're all looking at the pasuk as though he's, lichvash hamalka imi babayis, that he's the host. What do the two have to do with each other? Either what's the first part, the predicate, have to do with the end of the sentence there?
So let's review.
Right,
In the previous stuff, we learned two opinions about the authorship.
What's the?
Who's that?
Is there, what do we know what that means? What happened every day?
Well,
that Shimon
well,
Gamliel
they
passes
could
like
meaning,
Rabbi
yeah,
Yossi?
that's what the Rashbam is saying. That's what the Rashbam is saying. What the Rashbam is saying is that we always, like the Gemara Erev said, that we always pass him like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is the go-to.
So this was a kavod
Right?
question. Are we going to be nice to Chaver Rabbi Yehuda? And he said no. Halacha comes
Yes,
first.
exactly
That's
right.
what
He's
the
sitting
Gemara
there.
saying?
He's sitting there. Yeah. If Rabbi Yehuda's sitting there, so Rabbi Shimon Gamliel said, "Hey, should we go with Rabbi Yehuda because he's sitting here and he holds this, so let's do that."
So it's a Musar Gemara.
Right?
The answer is no. Halacha comes first.
That's exactly, yes. I think you're 100% right. That it was a Musar. It was a Havamina that als Musar. Let's maybe acquiesce to Rabbi Yehuda Shita since he's sitting here. And then they said no because we're afraid that they're going to be kaveh halacha for Dairis, not like that. Right? Yeah, that's exactly. I think that's why I understood it. But whatever that's worth.
There is the Gemara.
Which Rabbi Yossi is this? Rabbi Yossi Glili?
I'm
No,
Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta.
Yeah.
Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta?
Yes, the Talmud Rabbi
Yeah.
Akiva. Both him and Rabbi Yehuda were Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva from the 5 Talmidim.
There you go. There's the mechanech right there. The
There
mechanech
you go.
laying it down.
There is,
Yeah, what do you want to say?
there is the Gemara that says of Shimon Gamliel when he was arguing with Yeshua, he made him come to his house and he held the halachos like him, right? And he embarrassed him, and they had to throw him out of his measures.
Right.
So
No,
there is,
that was
there
Rabbi,
is
that's
this
Rabbi
idea that,
Gamliel. That's his
sorry,
father,
but- right.
Rabbi Avner.
correct, but Rabbi Gamliel held because he was the Nasi Adar that Rabbi Yeshua had to listen to him in halacha. So there is that idea that he held it because he was the Nasi. Rabbi Yeshua couldn't argue with him, even though Rabbi Yeshua might have been right.
Yeah.
Right. I hear that.
Okay, whatever it is, but that's the sugya. So Lamaisa is passing like Rabbi Yossi. Now the best part of this is that what's the next line? Weiter in Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Ein halacha like Rabbi Yehuda, but like Rabbi Yossi. Givaldik, right? Givaldik. We got this whole shak of Ataria that we got who we going like, and then the Gemara just machsavek the whole deal, right? That we're not passing not like Rabbi Yehuda, not like Rabbi Yossi. Ella, and this was Negei of Mamish this past Friday. Pyrus mapu mekadesh. What you do is you spread out a tablecloth, cover over the food, and you make kiddush. So you continue your suda, right?
That's not really recommended anyway.
Who says that was the whole tumult?
That
Is
was
it
the whole
recommended?
tumult
Is it
this
not
year.
recommended?
Saying
Is it only right? But
the
Lamaisa
force guys
here,
and the Sviako Stein guys.
What? The who guys?
I said the Stein guys and the force guys.
Oh, I don't know what they listen. The halacha is a paras ma'av mekadosh. You can't deny that. It's just the question is lechatchila or not, right? So anyway, so you paras ma'av mekadosh. So which is basically you spread out a shmata, you make the kiddush, and then you go weiter. Which the basic halachas with that is that, which is very interesting because then you don't have lechem mishnah. According to most pasken, there's no lechem mishnah. Again, you're in middle of Yisuda. It hits shkia. You're not allowed to eat anymore. Right? At least, again, according to Rabbi Yossi, you are allowed to. But we're saying we don't pasken like that. So you have to stop eating. So what do? So you cover over the challah which we'll get to on Amud Beis exactly why you have to do that. You take a cup of wine, you make kiddush without making bar priya gafen, assuming you already made a bar priya gafen in that suda, and you uncover and you go weiter. So there's no lechem mishnah. There is one shita that I came across that says you should just take the lechem mishnah because you're not making hamoitzi because you're in the middle of your suda. You're not making hamoitzi. So you're having a suda Shabbos. You're not making not a bar priya gafen and not a hamoitzi, right? And then you're not having lechem mishnah either, right? Okay, but there's one shita that says you should have lechem mishnah and then eat it. Okay, but that's what Paras Ma'av Mekadosh is. So Gemara says, "Aini, it's not true."
What does Paras Ma'av Mekadosh mean?
She just explained it.
Because you're going to be making kiddush a la kois, so you cover over the food. You make kiddush, mekadosh the yoim, not with bar priya gafen, just you mekadosh the yoim, right? And then that's it. Now you mekadosh the yoim. Now you're allowed to continue eating. That's all it is. And then Ma'ariv, obviously, you'll daven later.
So, and I'm assuming you made the bar priya gafen already, and you wash, you just make kiddush. That's it. You just cover everything, and you make kiddush, and you uncover it. Okay.
But you don't make.
And you're davening Ma'ariv later with a mint. You're doing this with 10
people. You make kiddush.
If you're davening Ma'ariv with a minion, ich weiß nicht. Religion
no, I'm
is a
asking
private
you,
matter.
You're doing this with 10 people. It's not better to daven with a minion at this man.
Not if you hold Paras Ma'av Mekadosh. No, it's not better.
I don't know.
Machlokes.
Yeah.
What do you guys have a problem with machlokes? It's a machlokes. I was patient. At 4:30, I fell asleep on the couch for 5 hours. I didn't do anything.
So therefore, what?
Religion is a private matter.
Did they Paras pop on you? Did they put a blanket on you?
Therefore, nothing.
Religion is a private matter. The rabbi said so.
He was Paras himself onto the couch. That's what he was.
People were upset because I wasn't going to sleep on Reb Yaakov's couch this year. I just want to tell them I was yotzei. I slept on a different couch. That's all.
There you go. Okay. All right. Naftali's son was mitzi with sleeping on the couch over here. So with the outfit. Anyway, so yeah, what's with minyan? I imagine they daven later. Mustama, they daven later. Right? Okay, so let's see weiter. Ain't it's not true. Second line at the bottom. The same way. You have to stop in order to make kiddush, right? Which is what we just said. So same thing, you also have to stop for Havdalah, which is also something that we don't do. Right? If you're in the middle of Havdalah, if you're in the middle of Shalosh Shudas, you don't stop to make Havdalah. Right, you finish Shalosh Shudas, then you make Havdalah. So he holds that you got to stop for Kiddush and you have to stop for Havdalah. Right, but what does mafsikin mean? What's the kasha here? So my mafsikin, lav la akira sashulchan, doesn't it mean that you have to actually remove the entire table? Right, meaning not just cover it with a shmata. We said you have to cover it with the table to make Kiddush. He's saying no, that's not what you do. You have to take away the table. Right, so the Gemara answers loy lamapa. No, it doesn't mean take away the table. Why would you think take away the table? It means that you just spread out a tablecloth and you make kiddush. Right, so now Tosfos says, right? He says that what he means by akiras hashulchan, it means birchas hamazon. Right, because the way it was back then is they didn't eat on a big table together like we eat nowadays. What they did is each one had a small little table in front of them. And then they would take it from in front of everybody and not from in front of the person that was leading the bench. Right? So that's what happened. So that's the way they used to do it back then. So that's what we thought. So he said, no, that's not what it is. You just put a tablecloth and then that's it. So and then Tosfos finishes off, and the second Tosfos down, he says, out and us that don't have separate tables, so it's not proper to remove all the food from the table for birchas hamazon. Right? Okay. So basically, yeah, go ahead.
So we have that by the Seder when they talk about moving the tables before Manishtan, after Manishtan. They're talking about the whole table because they all had their own tables, not like
right.
us.
So yeah. So that's right, and we don't do that anymore nowadays. Exactly right. Yeah. That's what they did back then. So then let's see if I think Gemara. So Rav,
is this a raya?
Yeah.
Is this a raya that they did not drink wine by Shalosh Shudas? Otherwise, how does Paras Ma'av work?
By Shalosh Shudas?
No, Paras Ma'av is by Kiddush.
Yeah, and by Havdalah now in this Gemara.
He's saying that the teret, lafita teretz, that it's mappa, you could do it by Havdalah too. That's what
Right.
you're asking. So I understand.
But
So
if you had, but if you had wine by Shalosh Yudas, then what are you
Right.
making? You can't make a Hagafen again just because you play Mappa.
No, so you make. Why can't you just make a mavda?
You make a
You just make a
without,
mavda.
not a la kais.
Yeah.
Yeah, pick up
No,
a
ala
kite.
kois. You're making kiddush ala kois too by paras mappa. Right? You're making
If you're not
kiddush
making a
too.
very
You're picking up.
why do you need to be Paris Mappa?
No, but you. No, you're holding up a kais of wine and you're being mekadosh. You're just not making the bar priya gofen.
Why would you have to be Paris Map in general by Abdullah?
Oh, so that's the next sugya. So let's see. So Rav, let's see the next Gemara. So Rav bar Rav Huna ikla lebei Reish Galusa. Rav Huna traveled to Reish Galusa. Aisu taka kamei, and they brought the table in front of him with all the food. Now that means they brought it to him before the Suda, meaning they brought all the food to the table before he makes Kiddush, which is a big kasha on us because this is the way most people do it nowadays. They have all the food on the table and then they make Kiddush, right? Which we'll see in the Allah will come from this. But basically, he went to the Reish Galusa and they brought the whole table of food in front of him. So what did he say to do? Paras mappa, the Kiddush. So he made them spread a mappa, a cloth over the food, and then he made Kiddush. Meaning he didn't tell them, take the table out of here. Right? Meaning by mistake, they brought the table full of food to him before he made the Kiddush. So he said, how can we do this now? Right? So he said he didn't tell him to take the tables out. He just said, let's cover over with a shmata, and then we're going to make Kiddush. Yeah? Tani nami hachi, she'ein mevi'in es hashulchan ela im ken Kiddush. Don't bring the food on the table until you make Kiddush. Vimhevi, and if you did, Paras Mapa Mekadesh, then you have to spread out a shmata to be Mekadesh. Now, what's the reason for this? Yeah.
It looks like he didn't even tell them to do anything. He did it himself.
Meaning he didn't want it to, maybe that's why he didn't want to tell him to bring the table back inside. Okay, fair enough. But the point is from this Gemara, what comes out? That you're supposed to make Kiddush before the challah is on the table. That's what comes out from this Gemara. You're supposed to make Kiddush.
That's why.
What are you saying?
That's why he's covering it.
Oh, so the question is, why don't we just do the way the Gemara says it and leave the challahs outside, leave the challahs off, leave everything, just make Kiddush, right?
So the children should ask.
Then they wouldn't ask on Pesach though. What are you saying, Chaim? Yes. Okay. So now let's see the Tosfos. This Tosfos we should do inside. The fifth Tosfos is down. Don't bring the table unless you did Kiddush. Right. The fifth Tosfos is down. Right. We did this in the end of Shabbos. Right. That if you come home from shul and the malach sees a table that's set. So then the malach says, oh, it should be like this next week. And if he chas v'shalom finds a table not set, he comes home and he says, oh, next week it should also not be set. That's what the Gemara in Shabbos says. So you see that the table should be set. Like kosher, darachu b'mokem acher. It means that it should be set in another place. Ach ein mevi'in oisel l'mokem suda acher kiddush. You don't bring it to the suda until after kiddush. This is the way from the wedding halls, right? That I have behind the mechitza, by the chuppah, right? They got the tables stacked up on top of each other, fully set, right? So that's mashma, that's the way your Shabbos Suda should be, right? Keep the table in the corner, make Kiddush, and then bring the table. That's what it sounds like. And nowadays that our tables are very big, that sounds like Tosfos is already getting involved with that we have too much gashmias, but we're not going there, okay? But that's right, but that's what Tosfos is out. Nowadays our tables are too big. It's an interesting lashon. He says gedolim yoser midai. He could have stopped at gedolim, right? That our tables
Isn't
are
he
big.
just
No,
coming? Isn't he just coming to Afuke what he said before that they used small tables back in the day?
Yes, but he could have just said Gedolim. He didn't have to say Gedolim Yosef Midai.
His point is that you don't move your tables.
He's saying it's too big. He's saying
Too
the
big
table's
to get
too
it through the
big.
door. It's not too big. It's too big to get it through the door.
Either get in the door, whichever it is, whatever it is. But I'm saying
Maybe he's mocking their small tables.
I don't know.
Or maybe he's saying we all sit together at one big table.
That's true. Yeah, that's exactly what he's saying. Yes.
Okay.
But he's saying Gedolim Yoser Midai.
Yoser Midai to remove it.
When 8 people sit at the table, it's a bigger table.
In a chanami, but it's just okay, whatever it is. I don't know what's
See, Yaakov, you don't need me to. You're 100% right.
Okay, well, here's my defense right there, right? So, anyways, for kosher la'aviyam acha kiddush, it's difficult to bring the table after kiddush. Shaloi lahavse kol kach ben kiddush l'seuda. Therefore, and we don't want to make such a hefsek. I mean, it sounds like you could move the table in, but it's going to be an asik. You got to move it in the doorway, like you said, or whatever it is. It's got to get a few people to move it. So then on a regil and lifres mappa. So therefore, our minig is that we spread out a shmata l'kadosh and to make kiddush. But tamafurish b'sheiltis. See now, what's the reason? Kihechi. Now, why are you spreading it out? Kihechi the tesi sudasa b'yikra the shavata. The first reason is so that the suda should have like a chashivas for Shabbos. So you put a tablecloth over it. And some say that it was a zecher for the mon that didn't fall on Shabbos and Yom Tov. And there was dew that came from the bottom of the mon and the top of the mon. The hamon beinet time, and the mon was between them. So therefore, you have a shmata on top of the challah, which represents the mon, and you have a tablecloth on the bottom. So Mamela, those are the two reasons Taisus is saying that you should cover them. But I'm just trying to understand, just saying it out loud.
You would still have that if you didn't bring the challah to the table. Right?
Exactly. Well, right.
The whole thing is that it seems like Paris Mappa Makadosh is like now that it's here, we might as well do it. Like it's a very busy erev, right? But now we said that this is what we're running for. Let's find reasons of why we still do it. But it doesn't really make so much sense because you don't need the challah on the table.
Right.
And you'll have it afterwards.
Right.
And you'll have the thing on. So
correct. I don't understand the pshat here because it sounds like the best thing to do is to keep the challah away from the table. Make kiddush and that's it. Now Taisus is saying, but our tables are too big and it's a hefsek, etc., etc. So then we cover them. Now we're looking for reasons to cover them. That's mashma that according to the real way to do it, to keep the tables away, you don't have any reason.
But there's no havamina to not have the challah on the table. The shaila is, do you take the table away or bring the table back? No.
It sounds like it's the challah. It sounds like it's the challah that's the reason.
So why doesn't he talk about the challah? We're talking about the tables are too big to move. What's the shaila? Who cares? We don't need to move the table. Just take the challah away.
No, so once you're not going to bring the food in without the challah, right? The challah is the most chashuv of everything.
Yeah, but we don't bring the food till later anyway. The food's not there by kiddush.
So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what.
If not for the challah, what's the second covering that Tosfos is talking about? Meaning it has to be the challah.
Because of the mun, right?
Correct. He says the first layer is that's the table itself, and then there's a second layer that has to be for the challah. So there's nothing else.
I think Tosfos is going the other way around. Now that Tosfos brings this shotus with another reason why we cover the challah. Now that it's covered anyway, there's no reason not to put it on the table.
What are you saying?
Didn't cover it at all, and that's why it was like.
Now that if it wasn't covered, then you have a problem with it being on the table for kiddush. There's an issue. But now the Tosfos brings the shotus and says there's a reason we cover it besides for this. So have it on the table. There's a reason to have it on the table now, and it's already covered. But maybe you can make kiddush.
So why didn't they bring the small tables out to begin with? Meaning, why does the Gemara make it seem like it's, now that they did it, now let's cover the table? Meaning, so it should be standard practice. Bring the small table with the challah on top and cover it.
They didn't have paper napkins.
Okay, so whatever it is, I don't know exactly, clever. Let's do some halacha l'maisa from this.
How did that
So it comes down-
answer my shiloh? How did that answer my shiloh Gabi Abdullah? What does Abdullah have to do with anything? It's an Indian Gabi kiddush we're talking about here. Why did the Gemara before say Paris Mapa Mekadosh when it came to Abdullah?
No, because he held that you have to make Abdullah at the proper time.
Why would you have to do
Abdullah
Paris
comes, you have
Mapa?
to- Why would you have to be Paris Mapa on the Havdalah?
Yeah. The Gemara is the same.
Yeah, so I would say with the only right. So the thing is, I would say for the third reason that Tosfos doesn't bring, because of the jealousy, right? You have most kids, and they say, why do you cover the challah? Because the challah is jealous of the wine. Because normally you make the bracha on challah first, and then you make the bracha.
You already made the bracha on
challah first, and then you. Right, but it's the lamaisa. You're making the kiddush.
There's no jealousy. You already made your shalosh sudas.
No,
you made your almighty. There's no jealousy
that's
for the
true,
kid,
but
for the wine.
Why not? Why if challah is considered
Because
more
it-
chashuv,
you already made the
then you should be making
bracha.
Havdalah on bread.
In the
You
middle
should
of
making
the
bracha.
Suda,
You should make Havdalah on bread, not a la carte.
yeah, but if you in the middle of the Suda, if you bring over wine to the table that wasn't there before, don't you have to say a bar for a guffin on it?
You have to really make a toiva meitiv. It's
No,
different.
you didn't know you
That's
were gonna
tomorrow's
have wine.
sugya.
You didn't know you were going to have wine. Don't you have to make a bar for a guffin on it?
Yes, you do.
Correct.
Yes.
So where's the jealousy there? I mean, that doesn't exist. It means
There's no jealousy because the bread came first. There's no
Exactly. So
jealousy
the
because
Havdalah
bread
is the
could be
same thing. There's no jealousy for Havdalah. It's the same thing.
No, maybe there's jealousy. Maybe there's jealousy. Why don't you make Havdalah on if bread is the most chashuv? So why don't you have to make Havdalah on bread? I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know if I'm correct or
Well,
not. Why don't you make Havdalah on bread? You make kiddush on challah. If you don't have wine, you make kiddush on challah.
You then yotzei Malava Malka with that bread?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know.
In this scenario, it doesn't seem like you're yotzei Tosefah Shabbos either, because it seems like he's like, oh, you got to do it right away. But
Right, I hear. But anyway, so there's three reasons, right? So Tosfos says two reasons why to cover the challah, either because of the mon or because of covered Shabbos. And then there's a third reason because of the jealousy. Yeah. So there's big nafkaminas between the reasons, right? Number one is, do you have to have something under? Let's say you don't have a tablecloth, which you're supposed to have the covered Shabbos a tablecloth anyway. Let's say you don't have a tablecloth, right? So it depends. If it's out covered Shabbos for the challahs to be covered and the jealousy, you don't need a tablecloth under, right? But if you go with the reason of the mun, then you do need a tablecloth under, right? Another nafkamina is, when do you keep the challahs covered? Until hamaitzi or after kiddush, you could already take off the cover of the challah, right? So if you say it's out the mun, then l'chayra it should be covered. It should be covered the whole time. If you say it's out the jealousy, then you can take it off. And then also nafkamina is, are you supposed to cover it by shalosh shudis? Should you keep it covered by shalosh shudis, right? So if there's no jealousy by shalosh shudis, so the Aruch HaShulchan though says the minig is not to cover the challahs by shalosh shudis, right?
on your first point, aren't we supposed to have a tablecloth for other reasons when you come home from shul?
I said that.
Have it there already?
You're supposed to.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you're supposed to. Yeah. Now, Rav Nissen Karelitz, I
Shabbos.
would have never thought of this. The covered Shabbos, you're supposed to. Rav Nissen Karelitz, I would have never thought of this. What happens if you have a challah board, right, which most people have? He said that's a chatzitza between the tablecloth. It's a chatzitza.
Maybe that's the bottom cover.
I can't say I would have ever thought. What?
Maybe that's your bottom cover.
So okay, but it's a mappa is not. Okay, whatever he says is not a chatzitza. He comes out, it's not a chatzitza, but he entertains the thought that maybe
Our
it is
big
a
tables
chatzitza.
have challah boards. You know what I'm saying? Our big tables.
Right, that's very good, very good. Yeah. So anyway, that's lamaisa how we pasken. But it's a very interesting thing. I know somebody that has a minig taka. They don't bring the food to the table. No food is on the table by kiddush. Nothing. Right? Because they say it's covered Shabbos. They bring the food later. And
his shalom bias is good?
I didn't ask about the shalom bias, but
He only does that when he's eating an akam.
I don't know, but it's listen, it's good for self-control. It is good for self-control, which that's why they claim. I asked them, like, what's up, shot? Because everybody just dives in after the hamaitzi. You dive into the food like this. You bring the food, you make the kiddush and the hamaitzi. It's covered Shabbos. We're doing the special for Shabbos, and then they bring the food. From this Gemara, it's mamash mashma like them. It's mamash mashma like them. What are you saying about?
I mentioned to you in the other share, my wife Zayda had the minig, not like exactly like this, but everything was served separately. The chicken was served separately. The falafel was separately. The kugel was separately. Everything was separate course. It came out as a separate course. After you finish one, you brought out the separate course.
Oh, it's not even together at all. I'm saying that was not even at all. At all. Yeah. Nothing together. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Because the kedusha, because they're going with that kedusha of all the foods and
yeah.
I hear. All right, let's see.
All the rebbes.
The rebbes? What about them?
We'll do that.
What? Separate
They
food?
all take the chicken and they take it out, and then they bring in the next one, and the next one, and the next one. They take it out, the next one.
Taka, okay, it's all right. I never paid that much attention, but okay, I think you're right, Taka. That must be a chassidish zach to do it like that. Okay, very good. Tani Chada. So again, those are the halachas of Lechem Mishnah. Lechem Mishnah and having it covered. Tani Chada. Back in the Gemara, just a few more lines. Tani Chada Shavan Shein Maschilin. We have one brisa that says that they both agree that you're not allowed to start the Suda, right? On erev Shabbos. And then V'tana Idach Shavan Shemaschilin. And then they both agree that you are allowed to start. Bishlam Hadatani Shavan Shein Maschilin. So it's good that the brisa that says that they both say that you don't start Meshkachas of erev Pesach. So you start it by erev Pesach. Hello, the Tanya Shaman Shemaschilin, but this that we learned that the brisa that they both agree that they do start. Amos, when is that? Erev Shabbos. If it's saying it's erev Shabbos, on Mifla Kligi. They do argue on erev Shabbos. We said that they argue. Rabbi Yosi and Yehuda do argue. So how do you understand that brisa that says that they are agreeing? They're in agreement. So we say like Kasha, kan koidem tisha, kan la'achar tisha. One is talking about before 9 hours, and one is talking about after 9 hours, right? Meaning the second brisa that Rabbi Yehuda's maida that you're allowed to start the Suda, that's if the Suda starts before 9 hours into the day, right? But if the Suda is going to start after 9 hours into the day, then that's where Rabbi Yehuda's chaylik that if it starts after 9 hours into the day, then it's not going to work. So basically, we're being mechalik between before 9 hours and after 9 hours. Fine. Okay, we'll stop over here. Tomorrow's also a lot of inyan and bezos Hashem on brachas and kiddush b'makom suda. That's the big one. All right.
Yaakov, didn't we have a Gemara brachas that talks about the benching? And they had a whole thing, and you had 3 people that benched, and then the other ones, and they said, "Well, why don't you wait for everybody?"
One waits for 2, but 2 doesn't wait for 1.
Something like that. Wasn't there something about moving the table, and they brought the tables, and they switched the tables?
Okay, we're in brachas.
No, it's here by the carbon pesach. No.
No, 7th parak of brachas talks about this with the Shosha Shachlu talks about it.
I think it was something they took the table away, and then they used to wipe their hands or something.
From the Melech Stum.
Yeah.
Mishapinu
is a shulchan. At what point do you have a chiyuv to bench? In other words, Mishapinu is a shulchan. That's it. The meal's over. I think that's the sugya there where they took away the tables.
Which one was it?
It was I think it was talking about when they benched, when they were at a big suda and they made their own benching. You know what I mean? Like
how do you know when the meal is over? Mishapinu is a shulchan. When they took away the shulchan.
Oh, that. I mean, when you know, how do you know? Here, I don't remember exactly the close. So what do you want to say with that?
Nothing. I waited till after the year because it had no point whatsoever. It was just one of those things.
You're just making us feel bad that I don't remember the. You just want to make me feel bad. I don't remember the Gemara. Thank you very much.
Food for thought.
If you were Paris Mappa Makadesh or Paris Mappa and you make Havdalah, in that benching, I'm sorry, because I didn't do it this Purim, but in that benching, are you saying either Al Hanisim or are you saying Ritzei, or like how does that work? Halacha l'maisa.
Again, if you do what? What's the
Your
case?
Paris Mafo Makadesh, right? Let's just say
Yeah.
the last week, right? Friday, Leil Shabbos, right? Your Paris Mafo Makadesh, right? Are you saying Al Hanisim and benching, or you're not saying Al Hanisim and benching? Are you saying Al Hanisim and Ritzei? What is it like?
We
How
were
does
told
that
to
work?
do the extra rachman, no? That's what we were told to do.
I don't say harachaman.
Tziyako,
I don't say
and say-
harachaman. So how does that work?
This goes back to the whole early Shabbos. If you make what depends what time you're benching. Like Sphira, if you forget Sphira, you made early Shabbos.
Oh, that's Peretz. Yes, that's totally in the sugya. That's exactly totally. If you would have done it this past week, very good, Peretz. You're on the ball. It would depend.
Drinking
it would
helps.
Of course, it would depend if you had a kezayis chala after tzeis. If you had a kezayis chala after tzeis, then you would say ritzei. But the problem is you'd say ritzei. How are you saying ala nisim? Right, so ritzei is more important than ala nisim. So then you would do that. If you didn't have any chala after tzeis, then you would just say ala nisim. But the eitzah is, I think I tweeted this out, right? The eitzah is that you just say ala nisim and harachaman.
Right,
If you
that's
don't
what we
say
did.
harachaman, then say it after al yichasreinu.
And what about the other way? Let's say in the sugya that we just did with Havdalah, right? Your first map on Makadesh. Your first mop and you say Havdalah, but you didn't bench yet, right? So when you're benching now, you can't say Ritzei anymore. You just made Havdalah, right? The Gemara we just did.
You can't say. I mean, if you make Havdalah, if you
Correct.
do Paris map and you do Havdalah, then you would not be able to say Ritzei, right? 100%. Yeah. You'd be surprised how often people ask this. Very, very often on Motzei Shabbos, that people, I don't know what they're doing exactly, but they don't bench till after Havdalah, and they want to know if they should say Ritzei.
I guess when you have Marav in your backyard, it's easy.
You mean it's a Corona, Shiloh? You're saying it's a Corona? It's negated to Corona. I hear. Maybe
you're going to shul.
Yeah, you have a lot of Hasidim asking you shilos. They go shalosh very long.
Yeah, but so what? Then they still bench before Ma'ariv.
Maybe they want to have a smoke in the middle of shalosh.
Could be. Listen, I saw my own eyes. The guy sitting by the Rebbe, taking notes by Shalosh to write down the Rebbe's Torah when the Rebbe was saying it. So I saw my own eyes.
Scheinberg used to give his.
Yeah, you drove there, right?
Yes.
Scheinberg
way up to Shabbos.
Yeah. Rav Scheinberg what?
Used to give his sicha before Ma'ariv, but so Shabbos. They would plug in the microphone. They would wait to whatever time. They plug in the microphone. He'd give the sicha, and then they would do Ma'ariv.
Taka?
Yeah.
So I hope the guy that plugged in the microphone already benched so he could say Ritzei. Right? Yeah.
All right. Shkayach.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
Zach,
Okay.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I was telling when I was learning with Rabbi Resman today, I told him over the story with the Mormon Mexican workers by the mikveh. Where you wanted me to bribe them. So he asked me so we had a maskana. We're all done. No one's working on Shabbos anymore. Everyone's on the same page now. Yes. So
and how did that happen?
It was a misunderstanding. He pasken because he thought that someone already had a pesach from someone else, and he didn't want to overrule the pesach that the other guy got. But the other guy never really got a pesach. So the whole thing was that he really agrees with you. He didn't want to offend the other person because he thought that he had.
Because Gandhi had said that the pesach was based on me.
No, it's not true. He's entirely wrong. It's not. It's 1,000,000% not true. The problem is that he never spoke to the Rav himself. He was getting all second and third hand information. I'm the only one who was actually whatever. Not me. I mean, me and a few other people spoke to the Rav about it, but he didn't want to confront the Rav about it. So he was getting third hand information. So it was whatever. But either way, now it's all done. So I told
By the way, 1 second. Kitchen 18 is a good hechsher, right? Kitchen 18 is a good hechsher?
It's the same as the pizza place you asked me. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, okay.
But if they care about sharabar, they're going to eat 100% sharabar.
Oh, I should text that.
Yeah. I'm just I'm for information's sake.
Right.
They other than that, it's fine. No, they have mashgiach to me, whatever. It's all good. But it's all the meat's going to be sharabar. So I told him the story with the Mormon guys. So he said he wanted me to ask you. I forgot. I'll be honest. I forgot the Hebrew words that he used, but he said it was some concept of like enticing a guy to do avodah zarah or being mechazik a guy and doing avodah zarah.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the Hebrew word he used was. So he said that if people who hold that Mormonism is avodah zarah, so then by trying to bribe them not to work and they were being mechazik their avodah zarah, was that an issue?
I don't hear that at all. I don't hear that at all.
Okay.
Because they're doing it anyways. Adarabah, you're trying to get them at it. They're doing it anyways.
Right. So he was saying like then they're gonna feel like a shtach that you see they proved the yid wrong and they're going to church.
I don't hear it, but I don't know. That's al regalachas. I don't hear.
Okay, fine. Okay, fair enough. I'll be honest with you. That's what that's what I thought also. But I
don't see how you could be mechazik somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who can I ask the Rav David Shaila to? Who would know if that's the way Rav David paskens?
About I don't know about what?
On the ceramic tefillas kelim.
Well, why would you think so?
Someone quoted. They said they heard not directly from him, but they heard from someone who heard directly from him. That
well, Ramosha held that. Ramosha held that China and all that does not need.
Okay, so is that what they meant?
What about the glass on top of it?
I don't know if that's what they meant. Could be meant it was glazed. So glazed ceramic, he would say anything with a glaze on it. Well, I don't know. Ceramic, maybe not. I don't know.
Wait, so where Moshe would hold that glaze needs to be titled or doesn't need to be titled?
Well, what's a glaze? Huh? What is the glaze? Is it a glass glaze?
Yeah, meaning when you look at China, so it's China.
You're eating on the glass. You're not eating on the.
Right.
Yeah. So he says that's buckled. He says it's buckled to the earthenware. Yeah.
Which means that if it was from. Interesting. Okay.
No, but I don't know if it'll work with ceramic because ceramic itself they say is glass.
What's a ceramic knife? Is that ceramic or is that some other kind of something?
Ceramic knife is very in style now. Ceramic knives.
Right. That was one of the things that they were type. Yeah. So what?
I don't know. I tell people they have to.
You can't kasha that, can you?
Yeah, I don't think you can kasha them. Yeah.
Ceramic knives with a bracha or without a bracha?
No bracha. I think I could be Starkey holds yes bracha. I'd have to double check.
Okay. Are you on a side note? Are you learning with your chavrusa now?
Yes.
Okay.
So you want to hakam a chinik?
No. When you're done, could you guys call me?
What about the thing about the website?
Yeah. We were playing phone tag today. Parrot's got everything up. Everything's on Vimeo. And is Parrot still here? Parrot's still here. I won't speak for Parrot.
Yeah, I uploaded 112 terabyte. Gigabyte.
How much does it what it call? Gigabyte.
What? Yeah, it's pretty cool to have you can link it to Dropbox and it literally takes minutes. The annoying part is I didn't shut the setting off, so a whole night, every time a video uploads, I get an email. I uploaded it throughout the night. What is it? What are we up to? How many dafim did we do? 375 or 80? That's so many emails I got.
Hey, can you put my kid on the spot?
What?
Are you putting my kid on the spot?
I'm not putting your kid on the spot. What am I doing?
According to the CRC, ceramic, like a coffee mug, does not require tefillah. That
Yeah,
helps.
but why? Did it say why?
Doesn't say why, but China requires tefillah without a bracha.
Okay, so ceramic, there are some people that say that the way they make these ceramic coffee mugs, it's like, it's not really a glaze, it's just a shine. But China has an actual glaze.
Yeah, it's like a polish. It's
Right.
more of like a polish that they put on it when they put it into the kiln. But the China they put, but for China, the reason why they put an actual glaze on is to protect it from scratching, which is what the glass does.
cast iron stuff that's covered? Like I
Cast
bought
iron
these two cast iron. What are they called? Like the off-brand of the La Croquette or La Crusette or something. They're really cast iron, but they're covered. They're an enamel, whatever they're called. No.
Yeah, that's enamel. I think enamel is metallic, no?
I have no idea. I mean, I titled it anyway, but it's heavy, hard to title.
Wait, Ty, are we supposed to talk about ceramic knives?
These they only say it by mugs, right?
It said the example was a coffee mug. That's what they gave.
Right. So coffee mug's a little different. I'm pretty sure Star K says somebody should be able to pull it up. Is Star K's Pesach guide out yet?
I only have one ceramic knife. I think when I got it, I asked.
look it up.
CRC Pesach is not out yet. They still have 2020.
I have the 2016 in my iBooks, and I pulled it up. And ceramic knife is tefillah without a bracha, according to Star K.
Well,
Maybe they updated it due to COVID.
Maybe.
I have one
I think
ceramic knife.
Ceramic
They are
knives
amazing.
are much more in style now than
Their
They're
website,
chip easy.
nothing's changed. Their website says the same thing now too.
Oh, yeah.
They are very sharp, by the way. They're really excellent.
Yeah, but they chip.
Yes, they do.
They chip easily.
That's right. Yep, mine's chipped.
Glad you're not my moil.
That would be gross, R Yehuda. Parts of you. Sorry.
Big ceramic knives went into style in 2002.
Yeah, I saw them on an infomercial once.
Yeah, they could get them through the X-rays.
Yep.
If you saw them in an infomercial, they weren't doing too well then at that point.
No, I mean it was off-brand. I mean, you know.
Right.
Did
Uri, how many
X-ray
things you cut in half with your
about
knives?
what names were used to be given to people? Like there's Tanaim and Amoraim with different names. I remember Rebbe talking about that once. But there's tons of Shmuels and Yosis and Yehudas.
So what are you saying?
I have no idea. I'm saying I'm curious if Rebbe ever came up with any sort of shot.
Why they named the name?
Abraham.
It seems, I don't know. It seems like they gave names based on families and this type of thing, but I don't know.
But why is
I
there
don't know.
no? There's Yehudas, Shimons, and Yosis, but no Yisachars.
Right. And what about Tzvi? Who's the first one to decide to name Tzvi? I was wondering that, right?
Why are there no more Shlemiels?
Shlomiels?
Yeah.
Because Laverne and Shirley died. That's why.
He's one of
Who's
them.
Shlomiel?
Shlomiel ben Surishadli.
Oh, Shlumi. Oh, I call it Shlomiel. That's Shlumiel. Okay.
Oh.
Sorry for.
Does anyone remember Laverne and Shirley? Anybody?
I still want someone to give me an answer on my altar, Charlotte.
What's that?
Why the yeshiva system doesn't have altars anymore?
I hear.
Does anyone remember
not the name.
Laverne and
You mean the
Shirley?
altar from Tzedakah?
The title, yeah, the title went out of style.
The title,
Why did the title go out of style?
You mean the title, not the
Oh,
name?
the altar, right? The altar, right? I forgot. That's for
I
Shmuley to
think
figure out. That's another one.
think-
Shmuley, that's another homework if you're still listening at this point. Yeah.
Hey, Tiago, remember Altar Cats? He's got the name.
Yeah, no, but he's talking about altar alts like Rosh Hashiva altar.
The title, yeah.
I think as soon as the acronym
listening.
Shlita started meaning Shiyapa Lebar Yutfachim Amein, they took away the altar title.
Here. I don't know. Weiß nicht. All right, I gotta log off here. Uri, are you
All right,
going
so
up to
Josh, call you.
Orlando for Shabbos to Rabbi Groner?
He's in Orlando?
He's going to Orlando for Shabbos. They're going
I didn't-
Wednesday
he
till
didn't-
Sunday. You don't even know?
He didn't tell me.
Oh
I'll call
yeah,
him.
you should
I'll
tell him.
call him. You know what? Maybe Saturday I will go.
Wednesday till Sunday they're gonna be there.
Wednesday till Sunday they're going to be in Orlando. Okay, I'll give him a call. Maybe I'll go.
Are they flying
All right.
Frontier, Tzviako?
No.
I think they're flying JetBlue. I think they're flying JetBlue. I don't
Yeah,
think
they're all
flying.
going Frontier in a bassinet.
Anyways, all right.
Becky, are
everybody.
you coming to the scene?
Tzviako, if you can, call me after, okay? With something. Okay.
Leo, are you coming to the scene?
I'm gonna be at the CM. Yeah, I'm gonna be at the CM.
Oh, nice. Mitzvah Shem. Okay.
Yes. I have tickets. I just got to get on the plane and get there.
Okay, very good.
You're not going to fly Frontier, right? You saw what happened in the news today?
I'm flying Frontier back to Phoenix from Orlando after